Hey everyone, today I'm going to share something very exciting that isn't in the game yet, but was just data mined. Thank you to Nuka Knights for bringing this to my attention. Be sure to check out their video if you'd like to see all the fun new items that will be coming to Fallout 76 with Season 17. I'll leave a link for that in the description and at the end of the video. So this new game changer, it might not seem like it, but this is something that the player base has been wanting for a long time. Basically, we're finally getting the ability to change our perks wherever we want. Mostly. We'll be doing this through a Fallout 1st survival tent that features an item we haven't yet had available on any of the other tents, and that item is the punch card machine. Now, if you didn't already know, the punch card machine was a highly requested and anticipated item that arrived with the Locked and Loaded update in 2021, which I believe coincided with Season 4, which was called Cold Steel. At the time, players, especially console players, wanted a way to change their perks on the fly in a way like the popular PC mod, which is called Perk Loadout Manager. That mod allows players to alter their active perks with a simple key command. However, when the punch card machine was released, many players were disappointed because it didn't allow them to switch up their build whenever and wherever they wanted. And as of this video, the punch card machines are only available at player camps, workshops, some faction locations, and a few other specific locations like Nuka World on Tour and the soon-to-be opening trading hub at the center of the upcoming map expansion, Skyline Valley. But it seems that with this new tent, the developers are finally giving us a way to change our build on the fly, like many players originally wanted. This tent is definitely shaping up to be the best one. It features an ammo box, scrap box, cooking station, looks like a guitar, tinker's workbench, and of course the stash box, and the punch card machine. I could see a lot of players utilizing the punch card machine more than ever because of this new ease of access, especially when it comes to crafting and for scrapping. Now, to give a little context, with the exception of cards like Scrapper, it's not generally recommended to keep utility cards active, unless if the activity related to those cards is happening at that moment. In other words, players recommend swapping in and out cards like Super Duper, Chemist, Fix-It-Good, and White Knight only when they're being used, instead of keeping them active at all times. Now, any and all of these cards can be swapped in and out as needed with this convenient new upcoming Fallout 1st survival tent. I find this new change to be very exciting because, in my experience, unless if I'm crafting ammo, even with the addition of the punch card machine, I still find myself not bothering to swap in cards like Super Duper when crafting food and aid, or activating the Scrapper card after events like Eviction Notice, because I still find it a bit too tedious to do. Also, I don't really need the materials at this point, so if I did, I probably would swap them in. Either way, swapping cards in and out, not the most fun thing to do. Another common occurrence that should now be a little less of an issue for players is how players would forget to switch back their loadout from, say, a crafting loadout to a combat one and wouldn't notice until they were in some situation when it suddenly mattered. This could still happen with this new tent, however, so if you're wondering, a common and perhaps best way to avoid this situation is to set up these loadouts with carry weight perks you normally rely on deactivated. That way, fast traveling out of the camp isn't even an option without having to switch back to your primary build, because you'd likely be over-encumbered and unable to do so. But if you don't like the idea of being over-encumbered, then another way would be to assign cards that would make you aware that you forgot to switch back to the loadout. This could be any card that somehow gets your attention before you're in a situation when it's too late. Concentrated Fire is an example. Without that card, players are unable to target limbs and vats, and personally, I would notice this the moment I'm in a combat situation, which, well, depending on the situation, might be too late. Another card that would get my attention is Awareness, which displays damage resistances in VATS, but once again, I wouldn't notice it until I'm in a situation where I've activated VATS. You could also try this out with Nerd Rage or any other card that involves a UI sound or a pop-up of Vault Boy, something to get your attention, really whatever card that you would just notice quickly. There are probably other cards that I haven't even considered, so if you happen to know any others, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But really, I think the best way to do it is with the carry weight perks. Now, I'd say the only thing we need added to the punch card machine's functionality is its ability to work with legendary perk cards. Unfortunately, as of this video, that feature is still missing. My only comment to the developers would be that if the reason why the punch card machine doesn't work with legendary perk cards is related to how players must spend perk coins to activate or deactivate the legendary perk cards, then my suggestion would be to remove the cost of swapping legendary perk cards entirely. I remember, maybe it was Lady Devon even, explaining that the reasoning for this was to encourage players not to swap legendary perk cards, but rather commit to those legendary perk card choices permanently. Let's take a moment and check out what the developers said back when these features were initially released.
So what about like my legendary perks, for example? Does this give me the ability to swap those out?
Changing a perk let won't really have much effect on your current legendary perk setup, and the reason for that is that we wanted players to feel like legendary perks are a bit more of a permanent decision. They're a bit more of a late game feature, and they're a bit more of your character's makeup or core DNA.
I do somewhat get why the developers encourage that, but I'd much rather they just say something like, but for now, players, if you're wondering if your build relies on any of the special legendary cards, you'll run into the issue of your perk cards becoming unequipped that were supposed to be active. This problem seems inevitable with special legendary cards. Say if you are swapping legendary intelligence for legendary strength, for example. But we're gonna work on it, or we won't. We're not quite sure yet. Yeah. Anyway, personally, for me, no matter what the loadout is, I tend to always use the same legendary special cards on all of my loadouts, and it's usually those non-consequential cards like Master Infiltrator and Ammo Factory that I swap regularly. Still, I imagine a lot of players would like more convenience when it comes to managing legendary perk cards. Another final idea I have for the punch card machine, it'd be great if we had a copy-paste feature. That's probably on the top of my wish list. Anyway, with this new game-changing item, I imagine there's all kinds of new ways that players will take advantage of it. Maybe even PvP players, I'm not quite sure because I'm not a PvP player. Lastly, I just want to fire through all these different perk cards and situations where we might swap them in at a moment's notice. Maybe you notice it's nighttime and you'd like to have a damage boost. Maybe there's a door you want to open and you swap in Picklock. Maybe there's a door you want to open that requires hacking a terminal and you need Master Hacker. Maybe there's a giant cliff in front of you and you need Goat Legs. Maybe you suddenly want to pick some Flora and you need Green Thumb too. Maybe you want to sneak into something and not trigger off any traps. Maybe the game has thrown you so many legendary power armor pieces that you're over-encumbered. Maybe it's suddenly storming and you want to take advantage of that. Maybe you're in Helvetia and you want to swap in Woodchucker. Maybe you want to fast travel to the exact opposite side of the map and want to save some caps. Maybe it's that one time in the game when you might benefit from breathing underwater. Maybe you're curious about what mortal flesh tastes like. Maybe you're at Test Your Metal and you forgot to put on Friendly Fire. Maybe you're at the Rose Room and you want to have a few drinks. Maybe all of a sudden you want to roleplay as Feed the People back when it gave free food to the entire server. I'm so glad the developers have come around on this and finally included the punch card machine in at least one of the Fallout 4 survival tent skins. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you again, Nuka Knight, for bringing this to my attention. And I've got a lot of exciting new video ideas in the works, some of which are taking me a lot longer than I expected, so please leave a like and consider subscribing. Thank you for watching.